you have the ability to choose to follow God's law or not. If you choose not to, you're going to get punished for it. And so, this is what happens. Adam and Eve choose. And therefore, the three punishments that are explicit are laid upon them. We do not see any concept in there, as we read that story, of inheriting a basic sinfulness. Therefore, we do not need a supernatural force, such as belief that Jesus died for your sin, in order to be atoning for a sin that we haven't inherited in the first place. Does everybody understand that? Okay, again, not right, not wrong, just different. So, Jesus doesn't, for Jews, atone, belief in Jesus doesn't atone for our basic sinfulness because we don't believe in a basic sin. And number two, there's no peace of the world. Now, we believe that this God created humans, and that's creation. We believe that the same God gave the law. God revealed it. So that's called revelation. Now, when God made this, God also, in the Jewish view, made a covenant, a brit. And a brit is a covenant or a legal agreement between the party of the first and the party of the second. This is a first in religious history. We have no, did I spell it wrong? Okay. We have no other records of any other group in the world historically ever binding God to make a promise to humans. It's only humans that always promise the gods. Judaism comes up with the concept of covenantal theology. In other words, yeah, we will do certain things for God, but God has to do certain things for us. With whom in the Bible was the very first covenant legal agreement made? Anybody? Not Abraham. Who? Not Moses. Got it. Noah. Good job. Okay. Now, this is going to underscore something I said before. Noah is what religion? Nothing. Pagan. Pagan. Therefore, the first, and by the way, Noah agreed to keep 7 laws, 4 that were explicit. This is in the story of Noah in the ark, that A, we would not commit adultery, idolatry, we would not commit murder, and we wouldn't tear the limb off a living animal. The rabbis, later Jews, added 3 more to them, so they're called the 7 Noahide laws. But there are only 4 that are actually explicit in the Bible. And this covenant was made with Noah that Noah and his descendants would keep God's law, and God then promised he would never again bring a flood to destroy the earth. Am I right? Now, every legal agreement has to have a signature. What was the signature of Noah's law? How did you know? Everybody, according to the story, saw the signature. The rainbow. Exactly. Now, with whom was the second covenant made? That's Abraham. Now, what did Abraham, who is Jewish, what did Abraham promise God? Anybody? Abraham promised God
that he would worship no other god but God?
No. It has to do with every Jewish boy. 8 days after birth, he would have his ritual circumcision, which, by the way, is called a bris. foreskin of the penis is removed. Do you know what the start of a bris is called? Tip-off time. Okay. This is a silly cut for basketball. Okay. So, therefore, it involves both ethical for Abraham and ritual. Both of these laws, both of these covenants are big. And the sign of the covenant was the circumcision. And God promises that Abraham has every male child circumcised on the eighth day. God promises Abraham that the Jewish people will be on the land of Israel in perpetuity, and that they will be there and become as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the shores of the sea in perpetuity. So that is the essence of basic Jewish theology. It's our, we feel, responsibility to keep the ethical and ritual laws of God, and if we do, God sees us as His chosen people and promises to keep us safe on the land of Israel in perpetuity. Now, what is the purpose of all this? Well, if all Jews keep God's laws, ethical and ritual, and others see us, then we are what you would call an or lagoyim, a light unto the nations, because we're an example of what it means to follow God's law. We don't try to convert anyone, but if someone sees the way we lead our lives and they would like to imitate that, then in fact they might want to become Jews. So we don't actively do missionary work, but we try to live our lives as a living sort of advertisement, and it's the right thing to do. Now here's what's interesting. If you take all of this, because this is the final part of our theology, if you take creation and revelation and you bring it all together, if human beings keep God's law and God keeps us, what kind of a world do you end up with? A very peaceful world. That's called redemption. Because God redeems us. Not with the waving of a magic wand of a Messiah, but of all of us being God's messianic agents. If everybody in the world all of a sudden decided that they wanted to keep God's basic law, we would have world peace within seconds. It's up to each and every one of us. And that's the Jewish concept and mission. To live in such a way, ritually, so that we remember the ethical laws, live an ethical life, and create a redemption or a peaceful world, also known as the Messianic time. Now, the Messianic time is where the lion, according to Isaiah, lies down with the sheep. Have any of you been to the zoo in Jerusalem? They have an exhibit there that shows a lion and a sheep living together in peace in the same cage, to show that it's possible. They put a new sheep in every morning, but it's a lovely exhibit. Okay. Now, who can see what I have drawn here? The Star of David. So, that's not what the Star of David stands for. I made this up myself on an airplane one day. But it's a wonderful way to remember in a thumbnail sketch what Judaism teaches and stands for. Any questions up to this point? Okay. Then what I'd like to do now is to move to this sheet. We've already spoken about one God and Jewish ethics. Now, portability. Here's the interesting thing. How is it that we Jews have been able to remain a religion for 3,500 to 4,000 years as a Jewish culture when so many other civilizations, religions, and cultures have disappeared? Anybody want to guess?
Ritual.
Ritual? Where'd that come from? Okay. And why do you think it was ritual?
Because that was the basis of Judaism, and things stand the test of time if there's repetition.
Okay. That's certainly been an important part of it. Anything else?
God's covenant with Abraham.
The covenant with Abraham that we remember we have a mission. What else? Yes?
Families, sharing it with
Yeah.
their children.
Family. Certainly a vehicle for doing it. Anyone else? Let me show you something very, very quickly because time is running. Boy, this doesn't erase too well. Okay. Let me show you here, if this is the Mediterranean Sea, this is the Nile, that makes this Egypt, if this is Israel about even ancient times and today, this is the Euphrates, that's the Tigris going into the Persian Gulf. Euphrates, Tigris, we know about all that with Babylonia today. What was this area called? Mesopotamia. Okay, or also known as the Fertile Crescent. What was the economy of Egypt based on?
The Nile.
The Nile, so it was agriculture. What was the economy of Mesopotamia built on? Agriculture. Religion and economics go hand in hand. The old saying, follow the money, believe it. Economics, geography and where you're located, climate, all of those things have a great deal to do with the belief system that arises out of it. Because that belief system has to help the people who live there understand and feel safe in the environment in which they find themselves. I'm not a person who believes that very often somebody hears something from God. You know, kind of like snap, crackle, and pop with Rice Krispies with your morning cereal. I believe that people in ancient times are no different than people were today. We may understand more, but we have all the same needs. So that being the case, if agriculture is the basis of your economy, what is your religion going to look like? Remember, your economy is based on agriculture. What role will religion play? Use your heads.
The seasons.
Huh?
The seasons,
Just
rain.
keep going, keep going.
Nature.
Nature, keep going. What role is religion going to play?
Explanation.
I'm sorry?
Explanation.
Explanation through and protection through gods. You have to have a god of the soil, a god of fertility. You have to have a god of the rain, a god of the clouds, the god of the winds. Even if you were Egyptian, you had a god of beer. All these gods protected you, made sure you were safe. Therefore, these religions were polytheistic. In other words, they had many gods. Now, if you have many gods and your economy is based on agriculture, are you moving around a lot? No, you're sedentary. Therefore, where are you going to put all these gods? Sedentary. You have a great temple. So wherever it was, you had great temples with priests, and you had all the gods represented there. What's the agriculture historically been in Israel? Huh? Nothing?